Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Krishna Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna. So I will request someone's phone or book because both my phones are occupied today.
First canto.
Second canto. Are you sure, Matan? Yeah. So we will read from second canto. Today we are doing chapters first and second. So what did we discuss last time?
Parikshit Maharaj.
Parikshit Maharaj.
He was getting ready to. Yes, from Shrimad Goswami, yes.
Yes, so we heard how Parikshit Maharaj, he was cursed by the son of a Brahmin that he will die in 7 days. So what did he do?
He accepted.
He accepted the curse and
started preparing by the Ganges.
yes, he went to the bank of the Ganges and he prepared himself for that. And at that time, Shukdev Goswami comes. And Parikshit Maharaj asks him 2 questions. What are they?
सदा क्या करना चाहिए
हाँ.
और मृत्यु के टाइम क्या करना?
Yes. So what is the duty of a human being in his life? What we should do throughout our life? And specifically, what should we do at the time of one's death? These are the 2 questions. So second canto begins with Shukdev Goswami answering those questions. So we'll do the first 2 chapters. So these chapters are important because here Shukdev Goswami will tell us how to lead our life, and he will also say what happens at the time of death. How do we leave the body? So it is good that we hear that because this concept of how we leave the body will come later on in third canto as well. And in second canto and again in third canto we will discuss how the creation takes place. So these are important concepts because we all have to die, is it not? Anyone immortal? There are a few living beings who are immortal for this age, like Hanumanji, Ashwatthama, Markandeya, Kripacharya. Yeah, so all these are considered Chiranjeevi, not immortal, but Chiranjeevi. They live for a very long period of life. But we are not like that. We have to prepare for our death. So what exactly happens at the time of death, we will also discuss that. So important chapters. So this canto begins with the same invocation mantra as first canto. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances to you. Okay. So, Shri Shuka Uvacha Variyaneshate Prashna Krito Lokahitam Nripa Atmavid Sammatah Pumsam Shrotavyadishu Para. So, Shukdev Goswami says that Parikshit Maharaj, the questions you have asked are glorious because they are beneficial to all types of people. Everyone will benefit from this question. And the answer to this question is prime subject for hearing. Shrotavyadishu, it is worthy of hearing. And why does he say? Because in the next verse, very famous verse, next one, Shrotavyadini Rajendra Nrinam Santi Sahasrasha Apashyatam Atmatattvam Griheshu Grahamedhinam that those who are engrossed in their household affairs, they are blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth, and they have Shrotavyadini Sahasrasha. They have thousands of topics to discuss. So, throughout our day, we discuss so many topics. And nowadays, we've got social media, where you can discuss thousands of topics in an hour. Just keep flipping up or side, whichever way, and then a lot of information is provided. I was reading some psychological literature on this. It was saying that our human brain is not accustomed to gathering so much information in one go, and therefore there is a lot of information overload, and then people become very disturbed because of that. So one of the things I now do in psychiatric history, I ask, how much time do you spend on screen? And I also check my time, how much time I spend. It's like a lot of hours, a lot of information is coming. But what is the use of that information? Nothing. If you look at it, nothing. For a couple of years I came off Facebook, and my life was actually more peaceful. What was happening in the world did not bother me. So Shukdev Goswami is telling this 5,000 years ago, that even then people who were engrossed in material life, they had thousands of topics to discuss. So we should be careful, what topics are we discussing? Are they worth discussing? Are they worth our time? There is one very famous saying in social media, that if you are not being charged, then you are the product. So you think social media is free, but who is the product? You are the product. Your time is the product. I used to work for one internet company, and the success of internet company was based on how many eyeballs do you have. I don't know if that is still the concept. I'm speaking of 20 years ago. How many eyeballs can you capture? On that basis, your internet rating is decided. How many viewers do you have? So imagine, how much of human hours are wasted on social media, and how much of our life is being wasted on. So we have to be really careful. Shukdev Goswami says, Nidraya ariyate naktam vyavayena cha vavaya divacharte haya rajan kutumba bharane nama. So the night time of a householder is spent in sexual activity or sleeping, and the daytime is spent in working hard to maintain the household. So human life goes away like this, and it is very shameful actually, that we are spending our life just for these purposes, eating, sleeping, mating, different things. That's not the purpose. Prabhupada used to say that in that regard, agricultural or village life is better, because you do agriculture for 3-4 months in a year, the rest of the time you are actually free. Whereas nowadays, everyone is so busy. You call anyone, you say, first question you have to ask, are you free? Can you give me 2 minutes? Nowadays I am told that teenagers don't even talk, they just message. If you call them, it's a big shock, something bad happened. So the whole human way of living is changing, and we have to be very careful what we are doing with our lives. Recently one of my friends was telling me that previously we knew how to grow our grain, previously we knew how to milk a cow, we knew how to weave our clothes, we knew how to study, we knew everything. But in 2 generations we have lost all of that. Now we don't know how to weave our clothes, for example. We can't stitch our clothes. Maybe some of the Matajis here, they know how to stitch clothes. Or the next generation, we don't know all of that. So we have lost all of this. In my hospital, a lot of my patients, they don't know cooking at all. So when I ask them, can you cook? They say, what's the need? I can order. We have lost that art of cooking. We've lost various things. So is human life, actually meant for this? Once you start buying food from outside, then you have to work, you have to generate money, and then what you are eating is not healthy. So we have to be really careful with this. So dehapatya kalatreshva atma sainesha satyapi tesham pramattu nidhanam pashyan api na pashyati. So someone may say, Arey, Dingbandhu, what are you saying? Family life is important. Who will come to your rescue if not your family members? So here Shukdev Goswami is saying that the body, children and wife, they are asatsu, they are fallible soldiers. Okay, you may rely on them, but when they ditch you, you don't know. Okay. Sometimes I've seen, couples, they are very attached to each other, saying that in the old age, my spouse will take care of me. But spouse passes first, and then the other couple is left like that. Or some illness happens, and so these are infallible soldiers. You may have a big bank balance. Tomorrow internet crashes, gone. All your funds are gone. Okay, you may be very healthy one day. I see a lot of people who have met accidents. This morning I went to see someone. Very interesting case. Young man, and he unfortunately met with an accident. So now he needs 24-hour care. So these are all fallible soldiers: body, children, and wife. Children especially. Okay. You invest a lot of resources in your children, time, emotions, money. What children will do later on is not guaranteed. So, Pashyan api na pashyati. And it's not that Shukdev Goswami is saying what Shukdev Goswami is saying is new. We all know this. We all know that these are fallible soldiers. But even knowing this, we are unable to take that into consideration. So Shukdev Goswami is therefore saying, Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagwan Ishvaro Hari Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Bhayam Smartavya cha Ichchata Bhayam. Okay. So therefore, if all these are fallible, if we can't rely on them, what should we do? So Shukdev Goswami says, therefore, you should think about Shri Hari. You should think about the Lord Himself. You should chant His names, and you should hear about God, because He is Ichchatha Bhayam. Those who want Abhaya, those who want freedom from all fear, we should worship the Supreme Lord. Because worshipping people of this world is not going to benefit. Okay. And this theme we will find again and again in Bhagavatam. That when we rely on people of this world, then we get into difficulties. So we should rely on the Supreme Lord. We should hear about the Supreme Lord. We should glorify the Supreme Lord. That will give us fearlessness. I was hearing one class that from morning till night we are guided by fear. As soon as we wake up, we have fear. Oh, if I don't pass stools properly, what will happen? If I don't brush my teeth will, they'll have problems. If I don't take a bath, I'll smell or I'll develop problems. If I don't go to work, what will happen? So continuous fear is guiding our life. So when I heard this, I really thought about it, and I realized it's very true. Fear is our guiding emotion. So if we want to become fearless, abhaya, then we have to rely on the Supreme Lord. I'll tell you some really strong verses from the second chapter in this regard. Okay, how we can become fearless. So, Shukdev Goswami then says in text 8 that Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Adhitavan Dvaparadav Pitur Dvaipayanadaham. So I learned this, I heard Shrimad Bhagavatam from my father, Dvaipayana Vyas, at the end of Dwapar Yuga. And he says, Shukdev Goswami says, that Parinishkito api nirgunye, even before hearing Shrimad Bhagavatam, I was a liberated soul. When I was in the womb of my mother for 16 years, I was already liberated. I didn't want to come out of the womb of my mother. And when my father recited Shrimad Bhagavatam, Uttama Shloka Leelaya, I heard the beautiful pastimes of the Lord. And what happened? Grihita Cheta Rajarshe Akyanam Yad Adhitava. And by hearing this, even I became attracted. So Shukdev Goswami, who was completely detached from material life, even when he heard the glories of Krishna, he became attracted. That, what is this? This is really beautiful. So the pastimes which are mentioned in Shrimad Bhagavatam, they can attract even a liberated person. So it is higher than liberation, what we are hearing. So he says, Tad aham te abhidasyami mahapaurashiko bhavan. So therefore I will recite Shrimad Bhagavatam to you. You have asked me 2 questions. In response to that, Hare Krishna, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. So in response to that, I will recite Shrimad Bhagavatam, which will give you salvation, which will give you devotion to Shri Krishna. So this is how the Lord, this is how Shukdev Goswami begins the narration of Shrimad Bhagavatam. And he says that if you want a kuto bhayam, then one should chant Hare Namanu Kirtanam. So again the same point. If you want to become fearless, then Okay, Hare Krishna. Can you hear now? Yeah. पहले बोलना चाहिए Hare Krishna. So, if you want to be fearless, then Hare Namanu Kirtanam. One should hear one should hear the glories, one should chant the names of Hari. I was reading one verse from Narayan Kavach. We will read that in Shrimad Bhagavatam later on. That Yanno Bhayam Grihebhyo Bhut Ketubhyo Nripe Evava Sari Sarpebhyo Drashtebhyo Bhutebhyo Ahobhyam Evacha Sarvanetani Bhagavan Hare Namanu Kirtanam Prayantu Samshayam Sadhyo Yena Shreya Pratipaka. So we have lot of fears as we are discussing. What are those fears? Yanno Bhayam Grihebhyo Bhut. In India, a lot of people are worried by planets. Shani has moved or Rahu has moved. Grihebhyo Bhut, Ketu planet in particular. Sari Sarpebhyo, poisonous animals. Drishtebhyo, animals with a fang like dogs and cats or tigers like that. People are afraid of them. And Bhutebhyo Ahobhyam Evacha. Most people are afraid of Bhutebhyo, other living entities. Okay. Beginning with family members. This morning, this patient I saw, he said, I am afraid of my mother. I said, why? He said, she will, shout at me or whatever. So, bhutebhyo ahobhyam evacha, and also fear because of our own sinful activities, that my sinful reactions will come up at any point of time. So, a lot of fear is there. But by chanting the names of Krishna, all these fear disappear straight away. And you can see the results also straight away. Okay, so this is worth experimenting. That we should give some time to nice chanting of the holy names. And then we will all realize that fearlessness. Okay. There are very beautiful verses in this chapter. Shukdev Goswami has just started speaking. So, he is throwing some really powerful punches in these verses. He is saying, Kim pramattasya bahubhi parokshayarhaya nairiha varam muhurtam viditam ghatate shreyase yata. What is the value of a prolonged life which is wasted, inexperienced by years in this world? Some people, they live 100 years, 120 years. What is the use of that life? Better a moment of full consciousness, because that gives one a start in searching after his supreme interest. Better live for that one moment where you are fully conscious of the supreme. Is that not what you would prefer? 100 years of life or one moment audience with Krishna? What will you? One moment audience. Okay. Many people are so afraid nowadays, they say, Prabhuji, don't bless me with a long life. It is very horrible, very miserable. I don't want a long life. If I can die tomorrow, it's even better. Life is so horrible nowadays for many people actually. So better a moment of full consciousness. And that moment is not something in the future. That moment can be now itself. All we have to do is chant the names of Krishna attentively. I'll tell you one tip from psychology. So this person, he says that there are two parts of the mind. One is the thinking mind and one is the observing mind. So thinking mind means problems. Constantly we think about past, present, future. We keep on thinking, we make plans. Most of our thoughts are useless. Most of our thoughts only bring sadness and anxiety. Is it not? Yeah, everyone agrees with that? Because you are constantly thinking. Sometimes I tell my patients, your mind is like a motorway. Thoughts are going in both directions at very high speed. So thinking mind means problem. What we need to do is focus on the observing mind. So when you observe, then the mind is peaceful. Then the mind is not in the past or future. The mind is here and now. So we have to observe what is happening. When you eat prasad, when you take prasadam, you observe, the taste, the texture, you think about the Lord's mercy, like that. So observing is better. So when we chant, for example, we think, there is a mobile in one hand, a bead bag in another, and our mind is thinking, what else to do. So then chanting is not effective. So we have to observe how we chant. Okay, just Hare Krishna, and we listen, Hare Krishna. That's it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then recently I heard from Ramesh Baba Maharaj that there may be offenses in chanting the names of Krishna, but there are no offenses in chanting the names of Radha. So you can chant Radha name, and that is what we do. Hare means Radha name. So like that, we can do some beautiful chanting just by putting the thinking mind behind. So this is how Shukdev Goswami is saying that better a moment of pure consciousness rather than years of wasted, and he says inexperience in this world. It's not even proper spiritual experience. And he gives the example of Khatwango Nam Rajarshi there was a great king called Khatwanga. He was one of the ancestors of Lord Ram. So Khatwang Maharaj, he was fighting on behalf of the demigods. Then when the battle was over, the demigods said, "We are very happy with you. What can we do for you?" So he said, "Just tell me how much time do I have remaining? How much life do I have remaining?" And they said, you've got only a moment. So in that moment, he remembered the Supreme Lord and perfected himself. Okay, so it doesn't take a lot. Okay, one moment is all that we need. And he says that, Maharaj Parikshit, you've got 7 days. Khatwang Maharaj had one moment. And in one moment, he had to decide what to do. Sign a will, or call my wife, or chant the name of Krishna. He was very clear. He was not confused. He just thought about God. He left. You've got 7 days to prepare yourself. So in this, in the next 7 days, in the next week, you prepare yourself nicely. So he says, Antakale tu purusha agate gata sadhvasa chindyad asanga shastrena spriham dehenu yechatam. At the last stage of one's life, one should be bold enough not to be afraid of death. Hai itni himmat that when death comes, then we are not afraid. I'm a psychiatrist. A lot of people say that I have suicidal thoughts. Suicidal thoughts. आपके practice में भी सुना होगा. So, if you have suicidal thoughts, why are you still here? हिम्मत नहीं होती. I'm afraid. Or there is attachment. I have a family, so I'm attached. So like this, people are afraid. So one should be bold enough, and one must cut off all attachment to the material body and everything pertaining to it and all desires thereof. So this is a very high platform. Many people I have seen. I was once talking to one person who had practiced spiritual life for decades, and he was saying that my biggest fear is death. So I said, you practiced for so many years. So he says, theoretically I know I am not the body. But whenever I get hurt or I become ill, then the pain is so severe, and I think that what will happen at the time of death. So it's not easy. And especially to give up all attachments related to the body, very difficult. So that is why we need to understand Shrimad Bhagavatam, to prepare oneself. And Shukdev Goswami will now explain how we can do that. So he says, what to do at the time of death. Kriha pravrajito dhira punya tirtha jala pluta Shacham vivikta asino vidhivat kalpitasane. One should leave home and go to the hospital. No. Okay, Shukdev Goswami is not saying that. Shukdev Goswami is saying one should leave home and practice self-control in a sacred place. Go to a tirtha sthan. Once the doctor says you've got only 3 months to live or 6 months to live, or when you realize that time is up, then go to a holy place, go to Brajram, go to Vrindavan, go to Barsana, some holy place, and take bath regularly, Shucham Vivikta, and Shucham Vivikta Asino, and sit down in a lonely place, duly sanctified. So you should not have a crowd following you. Don't make a show of leaving your body. Go to a holy place, take bath regularly, keep yourself clean, and sit down in a nice place. Abhyasena manasa shuddham trivrid brahmaksharam param mano yacheja jitasvaso brahma bijam avismaram. And chant Om. So of course we are not initiated in chanting the Vedic mantra. So we chant Hare Krishna, or we chant the names of the Lord. So that is what one has to do. Go to a holy place, sit in a lonely, sanctified place, and chant the names of the Lord. And by regulating the breathing process, control the mind. So again, this needs practice. In previous ages, everyone knew Ashtanga Yoga. So Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. So people knew how to control their breath. And if you can control the breathing, you can control the mind. So this is what I tell my patients as well. If you're very anxious, just sit down. Don't walk, don't stand. Sit down and take deep breath. And then hold your breath. And then let it go. And if you do that, then mind will also settle down. Okay? Mind is dependent on the wind element, air element. So if by regulating your breathing, you can regulate the mind as well. So that is what you need to do at the time of death. Okay. And then gradually, as the mind is progressively spiritualized, you are chanting, you are controlling your breath, withdraw it from sense activities, and by intelligence, senses will be controlled. So don't indulge in, lot of food is coming, you want nice music going on, all of that one should cut down at the time of death. And the mind, which is too absorbed in material activities, can be engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead and become fixed in full transcendental consciousness. So even if your mind is absorbed in too many material activities, text 18, even if the mind is too much absorbed, then still by serving the Supreme Lord, we can bring it under control. Clear? All of you know what to do at the time of death? Okay.
These shlokas that you are reading, the last 2 or 3, is it for us or it is for the Dhyan yogis? Or
No, for devotees.
But this is not possible, right, for us, because as you said, this is for those who know Ashtanga Yoga and all.
No, so we can also sit in the holy dham and chant. That's all we need to do. And if you are chanting, then naturally your breath is controlled. I don't know if you have seen, but when you chant, normally people breathe like 10-12 times a minute. When you are chanting, the breathing reduces, the breathing rate reduces. So Prabhupada said that for devotees we don't need to practice, we don't need to do special practice of breathing exercises. By chanting, everything is accomplished. That is why Shukdev Goswami was saying in the beginning, Hare Namanu Kirtana. Okay, we have to chant the names of Krishna.
It says like go to holy dham, but when you are attached to your family and home, even if you go to holy dham, your mind would still be attached. So how to bring the mind to the center point?
The dham will purify you. The holy place, Krishna and his dham and his abode are not different. So you are actually sitting on the lap of the Lord in the dham. So that itself will purify you. Okay. And the attachments will go away. I'm pretty sure if you realize that I've got a few months to live, then you're not too bothered by your family. You have given them 60, 70, 80 years of your life. Then you will think, well, I've got a few months. Let me focus on chanting of the holy names. You don't worry, Mataji. Your mind will be focused on Krishna. Don't worry. Okay. So then, so you are sitting in a holy place, you are chanting, and then the mind has to be absorbed in the Supreme Lord. So, you should meditate upon the limbs of Vishnu. Thus the mind becomes free from all sense objects. Tato kinchana nasmare. There should be no other thing to be thought upon. So your mind should be thinking only of the Lord. Okay. That may be a bit tricky, but you can have a deity form of the Lord like we have here. And you can meditate on the deity form of the Lord. Okay. Rajas tamo bhyam akshittam विमूढ़न मन आत्मन यच्छेद धारणया धीरो हंति या तत्कृतं बलम. See, our mind becomes disturbed because of influences of mode of passion and ignorance. रजोगुण तमोगुण के प्रभाव से हमारा मन विक्षिप्त रहता है. But by thinking about the Lord, then we can become fully focused on the Lord. So here, the word used is धारणया. Okay, धारणा, भगवान की धारणा करके, भगवान का ध्यान करके. Okay, so that word is important because Parikshit Maharaj will ask now how to focus one's mind on the Supreme Lord. So by doing this, Yogino Bhakti Lakshana, very soon devotion to the Lord will appear in your heart. So Rajo Vacha, text 22. Yada sandharyate brahman dharana yatra sammata yatrishi va haredashu purushasya manomalam. So you've spoken about that one should fix one's concept upon the Supreme Lord. So how do we practice dharana? How do we see the Lord? So that purushasya manomalam, so all the impurities in the mind go away. Alright, so I just want to ask you, have you understood what we should be doing at the time of death? Okay, tell me, what will you do? Detach yourself. Go to a holy place. Take bath regularly. Sit in a purified place.
Sit alone, not following.
Alone, not like with a group. Secluded place. What else? Chant the names of Krishna. And what about your mind?
Chanting regulation.
Yes. And you meditate on the form of the Lord. This is what you need to do. Okay. So, ब्रजधाम में कुटिया बनाए, वहाँ पे भगवान की मूर्ति स्थापित करें, उनके सामने बैठ के जप करें. ठीक है? तो इससे मृत्यु के वक्त आपको कोई परेशानी नहीं है. Simple. Okay, and this is recommended by Shukdev Goswami. Okay, many a times when I've seen, someone's parent is ill or, then people take them to the holy place. That, now nothing can be done. Doctors have also said, Haribol. So now, let's pass the remaining days in the holy place. So for this purpose, ISKCON has made one hospice in Vrindavan. So you can go there, basic healthcare is provided, but you are living in the association of devotees in the holy dham. So it's a very nice opportunity.
But I think this is only possible if you know you got whatever couple of days or months. But if you don't know and it's like sort of you only got a day, obviously we live here, then how is that possible?
You have to be ready, prepared every time.
So
We don't know when it's going to come.
True. So ideally one should live in the dham. That's the ideal position. Therefore, a lot of saints, they don't leave the holy place. They
But
stay
in
there.
this case, we can just call devotees and
Yeah, so all these are...
replicate.
Yeah. Here I am talking from Shrimad Bhagavatam. This is what Shukdev Goswami is recommending. Okay, because in previous ages, untimely death was very rare. Now Kali Yuga is there, everything is untimely. But previously, people could have some idea of when they are about to be. But even now, in my experience, most of us, we know when our time has come. Okay. So one should therefore make these kind of arrangements. Okay? Clear? Alright. So now the king has asked how to fix our mind on Krishna. Dharana. How do we remember the Supreme Lord? Okay. Alright. So Shukdev Goswami says, text 23, Jitasino jitashvaso jitasango jitendriya sthule bhagavato rupe manasandharayedhya. One should control the sitting posture, sit straight, regulate the breathing process by pranayam and control the mind and senses. With intelligence applied to the gross potencies of the Lord, called Virata Rupa. So the remaining of the chapter is meditating on the Virat Roop of the Lord. So those of you who attended Bhagavad Gita sessions, in which chapter did we discuss the Virat Roop? 11. Chapter 11. So Arjun also is asking the same question. In 10th chapter, Krishna describes his opulences to Arjun. So Arjun says, how can I see? How can I actually see? We don't have eyes to see the God, but we have eyes to see the material universe. So in this material universe, how do we see the Lord? With material eyes, how do we see the Lord? So Krishna explains that you can meditate on the Virat Roop of the Lord, which is, we will read now, that the sun and the moon are the eyes of the Lord, the trees are the hair of the Lord. So when you see the trees, you can think of the Lord. These are impetus to think of Krishna. Okay? Like, some people, they have the photographs of their parents in their home. Parents have passed away, so they have kept a photograph. Why is that? Because when they see the photograph, they think of their parents. It reminds them of their parents. And nowadays, people keep photographs of footballers, celebrities.
Cats and dogs.
Cats and dogs, yes, cats and dogs. Or Halloween coming. So these are all impetus to remind you of something. So here, by reading all this, then next time when you see a particular object, you will remember the Lord. That is called dharana. Dharana means you are now conceiving of the Lord. Then dhyana samadhi. After dharana comes dhyana. Dhyana means then you remember the Lord. And then samadhi, which is constant remembrance of the Lord. So that is how you attain samadhi. But it begins with dharana. Yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, dharana. Sorry, pratyahar, then dharana. Pratyahar is detaching the senses from sense object. Then dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Okay? So this is dharana, how to conceive of the Lord. Now, Shukdev Goswami doesn't need that. Shukdev Goswami, when did he see Krishna? When he was in the womb of his mother. Okay, so he has seen Krishna right from even before coming out of his womb. Parikshit Maharaj, he has seen Krishna in the womb of his mother. So he doesn't need all of this. But we need to hear all this. Because we have no concept of the Lord. So therefore, the remaining of the chapter is very important to help us to remember Krishna. So how do we do that? First of all, this gigantic manifestation of the world and past, present and future, they should all remind us of Krishna. So it says, the planets known as Patal constitute the bottoms of the feet of the Lord. Heels and toes are the Rasatal planets. Ankles are Mahatal. Shanks constitute the Talatal planets. And similarly, it goes up. The topmost planetary system known as Satyalok is the head of he who has 1,000 heads. So, Shukdev Goswami knows that some of the sages can see all the 14 planetary systems. So he's telling the sages, when you can see the planetary systems, think that this is the feet of the Lord, this is the ankle of the Lord, chest of the Lord, head of the Lord, like that. Okay? So that is the way you can see. Can we see those planets? No. So we need something more close to us. Okay? Something closer to us. So all the demigods, they are also enumerated here. And then I'll read something from text 30. The sphere of outer space constitute his eye pits, and the eyeball is the sun as the power of seeing. Eyelids are day and night. So when it is open, day, when it is closed, night. So now it is night, so you can think, oh, the Lord's eyelids are closed. When it is day, Suryadeva eyelids are open. The sun are the eyes. How many of you see sunrise? Okay, very good. Okay. So Kalyu has not progressed too much. Like that. And in the movement of his eyebrows, Brahma and similar supreme personalities reside. His palate is Varuna, and the juice of essence of everything is his tongue. Vedic hymns, cerebral passage of the Lord. Jaws of teeth are Yama. The art of affection is his set of teeth. And the most alluring, illusory material energy is his smile. This great ocean of material creation is but the casting of his glance over us. Modesty is the upper portion of his lip. Hankering is his chin. Religion is the breast of the Lord. Irreligion is his back. Like that. Ocean is his waist. Hills and mountains are the stack of his bones. Rivers are the veins. Trees are the hairs. Omnipotent air is his breath. Okay, so like this, you can read this chapter, and you will realize that by looking at all the material elements, you can constantly remember the Lord. Many people say, can you show me Lord? So you can say, okay, Canto 1, Canto 2, chapter 1, the last 20-30 verses you read, you can see the Lord. Because we cannot see Krishna himself, is it not? But we can see the sun, the moon, the various trees, mountains we can see. So we can remember Krishna. So after reading this chapter, I read this chapter maybe in 2001, around that time. So since then, whenever I drive past mountains or when I see the sun, then I immediately remember this. And then again, 11th chapter of Gita says very similar verses. So, at least for that moment, I am Krishna conscious. So it helps. And this is how we train our mind to seeing the Lord in everything. Okay? So, text 37, Virat Purusha's face is the Brahmanas, arms are the Kshatriyas, thighs are the Vaishyas, Shudras are under the protection of his feet. So I am a Vaishya by birth and by qualification. So, I think, I am located in the thighs of the Virat Rupa. So it helps us to remember Krishna. So in text 38, Shukdev Goswami says, I have thus explained to you the gross material gigantic conception of the personality of Godhead. One who seriously desires liberation concentrates his mind on this form of the Lord, because there is nothing more than this in the material world. Okay? The material world is there just to remind us of the Supreme Lord. So in this way, we can do this. Okay. Sarvadhi vrittanubhuta sarva atma yatha swapna jane kshiteka tam satyamananda nidim bhajeta nanyatra sajjetyat atmapata. One should concentrate his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and one should concentrate the mind on Him alone, the only all blissful absolute truth. Otherwise, nanyatra sajje yata atmapata. Otherwise, we become atmapat. We will fall down from our position. So this chapter, any doubts? Okay. So initially, Shukdev Goswami says that the household people are very attached to thousands of topics, but we should be hearing about the Supreme Lord. And then he's given the method how to leave the body. And then he's saying that whilst we are living, we should focus on the Virat Roop form of the Lord. That should remind us of the Lord every time. Okay, so in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Rasoham apsu kaunteya, that I am the taste of water. Every time you drink water, It will remind you of Krishna. Okay. So the whole Vedic culture is there just to remind us, keep reminding us of the Supreme Lord. Alright, so chapter 2. So what is the advantage of focusing on the Supreme Lord in his Virat Roop form? So he says that prior to the manifestation of the cosmos, Lord Brahma, by meditating on the Virat Roop, he regained his lost consciousness, and thus he was able to build the creation. So he gives the example of Brahmaji. He focused on the Virat Roop form of the Lord, and he was able to create this material universe. So, if you remember, I was saying that I will read some verses about fearlessness from second chapter. So, text 3, 4 and 5 are those verses. अतः कवीर्नाम सुयावदर्थ स्याद प्रमत्तो व्यवसाय बुद्धि सिद्धेन्यथार्थे नयते तत्र परिश्रमं तत्र समीक्षमाना. So if the purpose of life is to focus and remember on the Supreme Lord, then why are we wasting time for endeavors that are merely hard labor for nothing? Why are we wasting so much time with our occupation, with taking care of the family who are ungrateful, taking care of the nation and the politicians who don't give anything back in return? And after doing all of this, what happens? We are still going to take another birth, take the reactions of whatever actions we've done in this life. So what is the point of doing all this? So someone may say, Prabhuji, Shukdev Goswami ji, the point is we have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of our body. We need some food, we need clothing, we need shelter. We have families to take care of. And I've got young children I need to take care of. So the next two verses are very strong. They are like, a boxer punching you. But Shrimad Bhagavatam, Shukdev Goswami doesn't mess around. He'll say what is the absolute truth. And again, very famous verses. Satyam shitau kim kashipo prayase bahav swasiddhe yupabarhane kim satyam jalau kim purudhan patraya Digvalkalado Satikindukule. So you said you wanted, roti kapda makan. So Shukdev Goswami is saying, when there are ample earthly flats to lie on, what is the necessity of cots and beds? You've got flat earth, sleep on that. In fact, our sannyasis, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for example, they would not even sleep on the earth. They would dig a hole and sleep beneath as a sign of humility. That, everyone is sleeping on the earth, I will sleep lower than that. Nowadays, even sannyasis, they want, nice, comfortable beds. Shukdev Goswami is saying, if the purpose of your life is to remember the Lord, why do you want to waste your time and energy and resources in buying a bed? Okay, are there not a flat earth where you can lie upon? And when one can use his own arms, what is the necessity of a pillow? Okay, do you all agree? So throw away your beds, throw away your pillow, sleep like it. What is the problem? When one can use the palms of his hands, what is the necessity of variety of utensils? So no plates today. Hands are there. So why do you need all this? When there is ample covering or the skins of trees, what is the necessity of clothing? Shukdev Goswami is saying this. Okay. And text 5 in particular is very famous. A lot of people quote this verse and none of them follow this verse. Okay. Chiranim kim pathi nasanti dishanti bhiksham naivangripā paradhrita saritopya shushyan ruddha guha kimajito vatino pasannam sannan kasmat bhajanti kavayo dhanadur madandham. Are there no torn clothes lying on the common ground? Okay. Even in UK, you can go to a charity shop and take clothes, or you knock at someone's door. I've seen here, people will give away their discarded clothes. So what is the need of making all the efforts for shopping? Do the trees which exist for maintaining others no longer give alms in charity? When I drop Arna to the school, there is an apple tree on the way, and I've seen scores of apples lying on the ground. So I remembered this verse that are there no trees which give fruits? Why do you need to cook? Do the rivers being dried up no longer supply water to the thirsty? And are the caves of the mountains now closed? आपको घर चाहिए? तो क्या जंगलों में गुफाएं नहीं हैं? Live there. Go to the forest. There is a cave, there are trees, there are rivers, there is ground, there is your hand. What else is needed? You don't have to work. Or above all, does the Almighty Lord not protect the fully surrendered souls? So you may say in jungle there will be animals, snake will come bite me. क्या भगवान नहीं है आपको बचाने के लिए? Do we not have that faith upon the Lord? I know all of you are churning.
What does this think of that?
Actually, life used to be simple even 30-40 years ago. It's changed so much. Everyone is hankering for better life, and better life in a way more material things.
Yeah. So we can at least begin with that concept to lead a minimalistic life. Do we actually need this? Are we actually going to use it? How many clothes do we need in our closet? How many shoes and purses do we need in our wardrobe? How many different types of shampoo bottles do we need in the bathroom? Okay, because all of this is not free. For everything you have to work. And work means you are spending your human life. When the time of death comes, if someone says, I'll give you 1 hour more for 10,000 pounds, you will easily give that away. एक घंटा तो मिलेगा. But during life, that human time has no value. Okay, we are wasting it for so many useless things. So Shukdev Goswami is very strong here. Because, and then he says, let me finish this. Kasmat bhajanti kavayo dhana durmadandhan. So why do people who are intelligent go to flatter those who are intoxicated by hard-earned wealth? Okay, I've seen this verse recited by sannyasis who at the end of their class then ask for donations. Okay, so here, Shukdev Goswami is saying that if you are intelligent, kavayo, if you are kavi, if you are intelligent, then why are you bhajanti, why are you worshipping dhana durmadandam, those people who are blinded by the intoxication of wealth? Why do you have to go and beg money from them? Okay. One of the biggest downfalls in any religion is to collect donations in the name of the Lord. I'll tell you about Christianity. When Jesus Christ went to this temple, he saw that they had put a lot of stalls outside and they were selling things and they were, generating profit. So he becomes very angry and he throws away all those stalls. And he says, how dare you make the house of my father into a marketplace? भगवान के घर में आए हैं या मंदिर में आए हैं? Okay. What is the need to collect donations? Is the Lord not going to provide us? Okay. But then what people do is they go to rich people's homes to collect donations. So that is insulting for a devotee of the Lord. कि आप भगवान के सामने भगवान के अलावा दूसरे लोगों से भीख मांग रहे हैं. You know, is that good? If today my child Arna knocks at your door and she says, you know, give me some food, give me some clothes, you know, give me some money, then you will say, क्यों तुम्हारे पिताजी नहीं देते तुम्हें? You know, how insulting that is for me if I hear that. So similarly, the Lord is sitting and providing for us, and yet, you know, we are going begging around. That is one thing we should stop. You know, begging in the name of the Lord should stop. Whether you disguise that as devotion or, you know, I will use this money in the service of the Lord. What is the need? You know, the Lord will provide. And if He wants to provide, He will provide. If He does not want to provide, He will not provide. And I will give you an example from my own life. In 2006, the Manchester ISKCON temple was in a lot of debts and crisis because it wasn't being managed. So we had one meeting where we thought how to raise funds. And on the strength of this verse, I said we should not raise any funds. We should just preach. Katha, Kirtan and Prasad. You know, that should be the aim. And we'll see, you know, if no one else is giving, I will give some money from my own pocket. But in that year, I used to open the temple door and I used to find envelope with 200 pounds in it. I used to open the donation box, 500 pounds in it, like that. You know, people, they used to come. I remember one particular family, they said, we want to sponsor the Rath Yatra. I said, I don't want your money. I don't want, you know, we'll do it. And then she insisted, no, take some money. So I said, okay, you take care of prasadam, like that. And by the end of the year, we were 2,000 pounds in profit. You know, we cleared all the debts. We had 2,000 pounds. So if we take care of serving the Lord and His devotees, then money is never going to be a problem. Lakshmi ji will come when Narayan is worshipped. We have Lakshmi Puja next week. So people worship Lakshmi ji. So say for example, I go to someone's wife and I say very nice flattering words to that wife. What will the husband think? And what will that wife think? She will say, Prabhuji, why are you talking to me? You know, speak to my husband. That is the etiquette. And in our Hinduism, we have become so fallen that we do Lakshmi Puja without even worshipping Narayan on that day. So do you think Lakshmi ji will be happy? Do you think Narayan will be happy? No. So in your mind you think I've done Diwali Puja, I've done Lakshmi Puja. But at least, you know, follow properly what is being done, what is being written in the scriptures. So by not following the scriptures, by not understanding the path of devotion, we are creating difficult situations. Okay. So remember these verses. And if you follow these verses, you will become fearless. You will become fearless. You know, tomorrow if Ambani or Bill Gates come before me, in my mind I am not thinking, you know, I want something from them. I will say, sit down, you know, I will give you something. I will tell you about the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. You become fearless. You know, next day, tomorrow my employer says something to me. I will say, get lost. I don't want your job. Why? Because the Lord will provide for me. So you become fearless. Suddenly you become fearless. So this is the formula of becoming fearless. As long as you give your reins to people, then they will pull you in all directions. Once you cut it off, then you are a free horse. Getting it? Okay? I can feel some silence in the room.
Big silence.
Strong verses, yeah, really strong. But that is how one should be fearful. At least do one thing, stop begging in the name of God. Okay, stop doing that. Krishna will give whatever he has designed for you. Okay, don't worry. Sanatan Goswami, he was worshipping Madan Mohanji under a tree. Madan Mohanji said, you give me dry rotis, at least give me salt as well. He said, I'm not going begging around for salt. So Sanatan Goswami said, no salt begging also. Then what happens? This merchant is going on a boat on Yamuna and the boat sinks. So people tell him, you chant the names of Sanatan Goswami, your boat will come up. So he chants the name of Sanatan Goswami, boat is rescued, and then he tells Sanatan Goswami, I want to do something. So he creates a temple for the Lord, for Madan Mohanji. So this is what happens when you stop begging. Okay, if the Lord wants a temple for himself, he will send someone and he will do it his way. But one should not lose one's dignity by begging.
San Francisco temple, you have money to pay the rent. So Prabhupada said, just go out. They went out. Had $100 bill.
Yeah.
Flying.
So that faith should be there, not just for temple projects, in our own life also. Don't fall down in front of others just for the sake of money. Okay, there is plenty around. The Lord will protect you. Okay. Kim ajito avati na upasannan. Kim means does not. Whether ajito, the Supreme Lord, avati, give protection, na, not, upasannan, the surrendered soul. So for one who is surrendered, do you think the Lord will not protect him? Okay, so we have to be careful. There's one beautiful word here, which I remember, because this verse I've read quite often. There's a word here in the second line called Angripa. Angri means feet, pa means to drink. So who drinks from the feet? Trees, yes, trees. So Angripa refers to the trees. Naivangripa Parabhrita. So the trees, they are maintaining others by giving fruits. Okay. So beautiful verses, these third, fourth and fifth. They are very beautiful, very strong. And therefore, evam sachitte swata eva siddha atma priyortho bhagavan ananta tam nirvrito niyatartho bhajeta samsara hetu paramascha. Therefore, thus being fixed, one must render service unto the super soul in one's own heart by his omnipotency. And if you can live a life like this, then being fearless will be able to serve the Supreme Lord. He is not outside, he is inside our heart. So you can always roam about with the Lord. Okay. So, just looking at the time, text 8, it is said, Pradesha Matram Purusham Vasantam. The Paramatma feature of the Lord, you know what his height is?
8 inches.
8 inches, Pradesh Matram, from tip of the little finger to tip of the thumb. That is the size of the super soul, like standing in your heart. When someone asks Prabhupada, is the super soul standing or does he lie down as well? So Prabhupada closed his eyes and he says sometimes he lies down as well. Most of the time he is standing. Like this. So then it is described how one can focus on the super soul within the heart. So the description of the super soul is given, and if you look at text 13, the process of meditating on the super soul is given. Now we may not be able to see the super soul, but we can see the deity form of the Lord. So how to look at the deity form of the Lord. आप मंदिर में दर्शन करने जाते हैं तो उसका भी एक तरीका होता है, वो यहाँ पे बताया गया है. How to see the form of the Lord. So when you look at the Lord, what do you look at? Which part of the Lord do you look at first? The feet. Okay. Generally people look at the face of the Lord, but here it is said, Ekekashongani diyanubhavaye padadiyavaddhasitam tadavrita jitam jitam sthanamapoya dharaye param param shuddhyati dhir yatha yatha. So the process of meditation should become pada adi, beginning with pada, beginning with the feet of the Lord and progressing to his smiling face. So you look at the lotus feet, calves, thighs, and this way higher and higher. And when you take darshan of the Lord, the intelligence becomes purified. When you take darshan of the Lord, which part of the mind will you bring forth? Observe it, not the thinking. I saw one cartoon. This person, he is standing in the queue of the Lord, queue of the temple. So over there, it is shown he is thinking about the deity. Okay. Then he is in front of the deity, and now he is thinking of his shoes outside the temple. होता है क्या नहीं कभी ऐसा? भगवान के सामने खड़े हैं, and then we are lost.
या हम ज़्यादातर ये सोचते हैं क्यों कितनी लंबी है.
हाँ, so that is not the way. You focus on the Supreme Lord. Then your intelligence becomes purified. Okay. All right. So, do you want me to continue or shall we stop here? Because the next section of this chapter is a continuation of how to leave the body. So you have gone into the holy place and you are chanting. So what happens at the time of death is now being described. Shall I continue?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, sure. Then we have completed the process of death. So text 15 onwards. Sthiram sukham cha sanamastito yatir yada jihasu imamangalokam kale cha deshe cha mano na sajjaye prana niyachen manasa jitasu. So when the time of death comes, don't worry about the proper time or place. Okay? Many a times, people think in Bhagavad Gita we have read 8th chapter, what time one should leave, what time one should not leave. But over there also Krishna says, for my devotee it does not matter. So here don't worry about the time or place. If you are in Manchester, no problem. Okay? Even if it is not a good time, no problem. Death is going to come, you prepare yourself. Sit comfortably without being disturbed. If possible, sit. Don't lie down. Okay? If possible, sit. Lying down is in mode of ignorance. Standing is in mode of passion. Sitting is in the mode of goodness. So try to sit down if possible. And regulating the life air, control the senses by the mind. Thereafter, the yogi should merge his mind by his unalloyed intelligence into the living entity and then merge the living entity into the super self. And by doing this, the fully satisfied living entity becomes situated in the supreme stage of satisfaction so that he ceases from all other activities. So essentially what you are doing is, with the help of your intelligence, you focus the mind on the soul, that I am the soul. And that this soul is a servant of the Supreme Lord. Okay? So you fix yourself like that. And if you do that, you will cease from all other activities. Then your mind is not thinking of anything else. Your senses are not running after sense objects. Okay. In that transcendental stage, there is no supremacy of devastating time, nor is there mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, nor even the false ego, material causation, nor the material nature. So this we will discuss in great detail later on. in this canto when we discuss creation. Also in third canto we will discuss it twice, the process of creation. But when we absorb the mind on the Supreme Lord, then all the material elements that are there, the 5 gross elements, the 3 subtle elements, the Mahat Tattva, they all dissolve, they go back into their respective positions. So our earth element will merge into earth, the fire element will merge into fire. So this is happening at the time of death. And then if you are attached to the body, then you will find it very painful. You know, like if you are attached to your necklace, for example, and I pull your necklace away, then you say, very hurt. So at the time of death, all these material elements, subtle elements, they will all be taken away from you. So if you are attached to the body, then it becomes very painful at the time. But if your mind is focused on the Supreme Lord, then you won't even realize what is happening. Can you conceive of this? Yeah? Okay. Therefore, a pure devotee, he worships the lotus feet of the Lord at every moment, taking them in his heart. Okay. So, what actually happens is, at that time, you block the air hole through which stool is evacuated with the heel of one's foot, and by lifting the life air from one place to another in the 6 primary places. So, Ashtanga yogis, they know this process. We don't know this process, doesn't mean it does not apply to us. Okay, so that's why it is said you sit with the heel blocking the anal passage. So you adopt that asana. So either Sukhasana or Padmasana, take one of them, and then the life air will go up. Okay. So many a time when people die, they pass urine and stool in the bed. That is because the life air has gone from the lower passages. But a yogi, his life air will go through the upper passages. He can actually pull it up because of his practice. For a devotee, it goes automatically. You don't have to worry. And then it goes from the navel to the heart, to the chest, and then the roof of the palate. And then in the palate, there is a hole, randhra. From there, it goes up between the eyebrows. And then what the yogi does is, he blocks all the holes of the body. And then, if he is completely free from desires for material enjoyment, he then reaches the cerebral hole, and from here he goes back to the Supreme Lord. So that is how the soul will leave the body. Now, if you've got some desire for material enjoyment, then the mind, intelligence and ego will stick to the soul and take you to another body where you have to take care of those desires. So if you have no material desires, only the soul goes. But if you have material desires, then the subtle body will go along with the soul. Alright, so in text 23, it is said that the transcendentalists, the yogi, their movements are unrestricted within this material world and in the spiritual world. They can go wherever they want because they are not attached. But those who are attached, they cannot move in such unrestricted manner. So what is holding us to the material world? Attachment. If you are unattached, lying on the ground with your hand as a pillow, not depending on anyone else, you can go anywhere in this world and in spiritual world. You are free. So if you are attached to anything, small bit, then you get anchored into this world. Okay. So then this yogi, he has left his body, then he goes through the Milky Way, illuminating Shushumna, Vaishwanara, where there is the planet of the deity of fire, which will purify you. And then he goes to the circle of Shishumar, and relates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you pass through various planetary systems and then you will go to the Supreme Lord. Okay. So interesting, fire will purify you on the way. You remember any incident where fire was used to test purification? Sita. And then you reach the navel of the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. Then what happens is, when there is pralaya, Lord Ananta, who is holding the planetary systems, he releases fire from below. And at that time, the sages who are in the navel of the Lord, they go right up to Satyalok. And then from Satyalok, they then go back to the Supreme Lord. Okay. So, in the material world, you have taken your life air through the cerebral hole, you have gone through all the planetary systems, you have reached the navel of Lord Vishnu. Then when the pralaya is there, you have gone up to Satyalok. Now above Satyalok, there are the various coverings of material universe. We'll read that in 5th Canto. So you have the covering of the earth, then water, fire, air and ether. So you cross through all those coverings. Then you enter the Virja river and then you enter the spiritual world. Okay. So this is how, this is the way back to Godhead.
Prabhuji, these coverings that you told about the Satyaloka, these are a part of the material universe or this comes under?
No, these are all material universe. Till the ethereal covering is all
till the
material
Virja
universe.
river, everything.
Yeah. So you go through all of this. Okay. So many people, they want to go to the moon or they want to do space travel. Just wait. When you die, if you have the credits, you will see all of these planets on the way.
After Brahmaloka, I think it's material world. After Brahmaloka.
The material coverings are also there after that. So it is said that so only the purified soul can attain the perfection of associating with the personality of Godhead. Whoever is able to renovate such devotional perfection is never again attracted by this material world, and he never enters. He never returns. So Shukdev Goswami concludes the answers to the two questions in text 32. He's saying that I have now replied your two questions, and whatever I have said was described personally by Lord Krishna to Lord Brahma. And in this way, he says, text 36, Tasmat sarvatmana rajan hari sarvatra sarvada shrotavya kirtitavyascha smartavyo bhagavan rida. Therefore one should hear, chant and remember the Supreme Lord, always and everywhere. Then our life will be perfect. Okay, so this is the conclusion. So what should one do during one's life?
Hear about Supreme Lord.
Hear, remember, chant about Krishna. Yes. And what should one do at the time of death?
You should go to a holy house.
Go to a holy place, chant the names of Krishna, fix your mind upon the Supreme Lord. So the answer is similar. Living or dying, one has to think, one has to chant and hear about the Supreme Lord. That is the perfection of life. So your exam is at the time of death. Now you have to prepare continuously. Okay. So constantly think, chant, remember the Supreme Lord, speak about the Supreme Lord as much as possible. Then it becomes second nature. Then at the time of death, it will be so easy. So just to give you some hope, some good news, one devotee asked Varadaraj the deity of Varadaraj. He used to speak to him that what if a devotee who has practiced devotional service all his life, but at the time of death is not able to remember or chant your names, what will happen? So Lord Varadaraj, he says, don't worry, for such a devotee, I will enter into his mind. Okay. Someone asked Prabhupada similarly, that what if I am not able to chant? Prabhupada said, just chant, follow the 4 regulative principles. At the time of the death, even if you don't want, I will pull you by the hair and take you back to God. So one has to be sincere in one's life. Whatever days, months, years we have, whether our life is going good or bad or painful or blissful, whatever condition, that will keep happening in this material world. One need not make much out of it. But what one should do is chant the names of Krishna. Think about Krishna, hear about Krishna. That should be done properly. We do the other way around. Everything else we try to do properly. When it comes to chanting, that is not our priority. So I will conclude by remembering a friend of mine. Many years ago he told me that we should keep Krishna as the priority in our life. So he said, at this point of life, I have 10 priorities. So I thought next sentence would be that he wants Krishna as number 1 priority. But he said something else. He said, my only prayer is that very soon all 10 priorities should be Krishna. Okay, not just number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All priorities should be Krishna. So I still remember that. And when I was preparing for this chapter, I thought about this friend of mine. Very nice devotee. I will tell you something about his wife as well. When he was about to get married, he met this girl. She was not from a ISKCON family. So his wife said, why do you wear this and tilak? So he said, ISKCON, Prabhupada, I chant Hare Krishna 16 rounds and I follow 4 regulative principles. So now marriage is not yet fixed. But next day, this girl calls him and she says, today I chanted Hare Krishna 16 rounds. So he is shocked. He said, wow, really? How much time did it take? 1 minute. She chanted it 16 times, not 16 rounds. So he said, no. 108 times is 1 round, and like that he chanted 16 rounds. So next day she called again and she said, I have chanted 16 rounds and I will do that for the rest of my life. Such a nice example of, straight away 16 rounds. And then once Radhanath Maharaj met them, so Radhanath Maharaj looked at this girl and he told her, do you remember you were a yogi in your previous life? And she said, thank you. So this is how we should spend our lives. That is the glory of our life. Otherwise, it's all waste. Okay? Any questions or comments?
Varadaraj, I don't know about it.
So Lord Varadaraj,
South India.
Ram Prabhu can say,
The temple in South India.
he is in Kanchipuram and he is the form of Lord Vishnu. So when Lord Brahma did the first yajna, then the deity of Varadaraj came out from that yajna. So that deity is still there. That deity has burn marks like that. And if you go near the deity is hot. So they constantly fan Varadaraj. We got that seva as well. And it's actually interesting. The priest offered us a garland from the deity, and that garland was hot. So you can read about Lord Varadaraj in Kanchipuram. If you ever want to visit, Ram Prabhu has a friend there, Dasarathi, and others as well. lot of
When
friends.
you went there,
We went there.
then there is something.
So we will now do Damodar Ashtakam and then we will take this. Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shrimad Goswami ji ki jai, Parikshit Maharaj ki